What's good with y'all YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be showing you how to make sample beats for 21 Savage. Let's get it. Now if you want to make these sample beats for 21 Savage, you need to get a loop or a sample with a long note, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. This can either be vocals or an instrument. In my case, it's a guitar and vocals. And what I mean by a long note is something like this here. Now there's only one note playing in the foreground and it stretches 2 bars, and what you want to do is you want to loop this one note over and over again, and the only thing you have to pay attention to is at the end of every 8 bars or every 16 bars, that's up to you, the sample actually continues playing. I had the sample right here. Shout out to this guy, by the way. And luckily for me, I didn't have to do any extraction. He put the stems, you know, at the end. In order to make the sample, you can either do basic chopping like I did, as you can see here, or you can use sampling plugins like Nardo Sample, FL Slicer, or a free alternative to a Nardo Sample, which is Momentum, which I used right here. As you can see, I took the first part of the sample and just poured it in Momentum, and after you chopped everything up, you can play around with the chops in the piano roll. Now, I didn't do too much to the sample, and as I've mentioned before, this one note plays over and over again. And I just put it in a sampler to give it that choppy feeling, you know, so it's actually a sample. And then just at the end of the 8 bars, you know, it keeps playing. And this just loops over and over. Now for the intro, what you want to do is just take the original sample and let it play. Now in my case, I added the vocals on top, but that's up to you. Looking at the hook, you can see the one note just repeats itself over and over again, as I just said. Now for the second part of the hook, I took another one note and made it repeat itself for the second part of the hook. What you also want to do is build the drums from the melody of the hook and then later change things up, you know. If you look at Red Drum, it uses a heavy snare, so that's what I picked. I think it's the exact same, to be honest. Same with the hi-hats. Get yourself some hi-hats and just play a 2-step pattern. For the 808 pattern, it's fairly simple. It's just small rows at the end, you know, so there's actually space for somebody to rap on. Of course, we gotta add a counter snare. Super basic. Some perks. And then just layer a kick on top of the 808. That's pretty much it. And that's what it sounds like all together. If you look at the part, as you can see, again, one note which plays in the part. So there's like basically one note playing through the whole beat, and it just took, you know, different instruments for the background. There don't have to be instruments that playing in the background, but then this one note would have to play through the whole part, but it doesn't right here. So I had to fill out the empty gaps, you know. To keep the beat interesting, you have to switch up the drums, and that's what I did here. New snare pattern, I just added to the heavy snare, I added the counter snare. And I took out the original counter snare. New hi-hat pattern, nothing crazy, just to switch it up a bit, you know. And of course, new 808 pattern. Now to make it obvious that it's the first part of the verse, I took out the kick, and as you can see what I did in the second part of the verse, I reintroduced the kick, the perks, the original counter snare, and of course, new 808 pattern, super important. And again, I switched up the vocals, but this one note still keeps playing. Now, coming to the bridge, there basically is no bridge, so either leave the bridge completely out or add another 8 bars of the verse, you know, and then just reintroduce the hook. And of course, to reintroduce a new part, leave out most of the drums. So that's what I did here. And that's basically it, and it just keeps looping over and over again. So you basically have this one note, which is like the main thing you should focus on when making like sample beats for 21 Savage. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something. Make sure to subscribe, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.